Welcome to Design Domination, where you'll learn to become a better, more business-savvy designer so you can dominate your competition. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Colleen Grotzer, and I am back after being sick for several weeks. I do hope that you missed me at least a tiny bit, though. In this episode of Design Domination, I'm getting into why designers should care about accessibility. Now, you probably have already heard me talk a lot about accessibility, and you might actually be very interested in it and already doing it. But on the other hand, maybe you're in the camp of not doing anything with accessibility. And you might be like, oh my gosh, Colleen, are you talking about accessibility again? And if that's the case, please hear me out. A lot of logo designers and graphic designers and web designers aren't thinking about accessibility, and you might be intimidated by it. Or maybe you think it doesn't apply to your clients or your place of work, especially if it's not a legal requirement. There are many benefits for not just the end user or the reader. There's actually benefits for you, and there are benefits for your clients or your place of work, but these things also benefit you. So I've got 8 huge reasons why you should care about accessibility. Number 1 is that accessibility positions you as an expert. And you don't have to know everything about it in order to get that benefit either. Accessibility has been around for decades, and it's not going away. It's actually only been getting more attention over the past few years because of the website accessibility lawsuits. So you have a unique opportunity right now to lead your clients or your place of work in this conversation, in this process. Accessibility gives you a special area of expertise that 99% of designers don't have. And you can apply this expertise to design in any form: logo design, document design, publication design, web design, package design, any type of design. And you might already be advising them on design and branding issues, but also as a design expert, you should be the one to bring up accessibility, because if you don't bring it up and they bring it up later, it could put your expertise into question. And then they might wonder why you didn't say anything about it in the first place. Even if you don't know how to do accessibility, letting them know that it's a thing actually still helps them, and they're paying you to be that expert that helps them. So you just have to ask if the work needs to be accessible. And if they say no, you can explain more about it, how it can help them. But if they say yes, it does, and you don't know how to do it, you at least know where to go to get that help. I mean, I provide that as a service, and I teach this to designers, but there are others out there who can help as well. So you won't be at a loss, and you'll still be seen as a helpful expert. Now, if you decide to learn how to do it later yourself, at least you've already started that conversation. You've planted the seed because you were the one who told them about it. And you'll be the one remembered for that if they decide to go ahead with it. The second thing is that accessibility gives you confidence. So the second reason that you should care about accessibility as a designer is that accessibility gives you confidence. And sure, it helps you be perceived as an expert. But when you know your clients can go work with any other designer, or you're interviewing for a job and the competition's high, you're not necessarily confident. You don't know what sets you apart, and neither do they. Or you find it hard to understand why you're unique. Having accessibility as a skill set is like having an ace up your sleeve. It's a key differentiator. At least right now, while so few people know how to do it. Number 3 is that accessibility can help you win more work. This is a huge benefit, and confidence certainly contributes to that. But since getting into accessibility, it's been my own personal experience that it's been 10 times easier, at least, to get new work, especially from new clients. And I've had clients come to me from all over the world, not just the US, but also the UK, Australia, and even Indonesia. I win almost every single project I estimate, and that was not the case in the past. In fact, I found it hard to get new work from new clients in the past. And many of my students have also won more projects after bringing up the topic of accessibility. One of my students won 2 website projects back to back easily just by having the conversation. Accessibility also helps you stand out from all the other designers out there. Most of them don't know anything about accessibility, so they're not even bringing it up. And you'll change the conversation, which instantly shuts out 99% of your competition. Now, on another note, if you want to do any work for a government or an organization that gets federal funding, you'll need to know accessibility. It's a requirement of the US government, at least. And it's also been that way for some projects that I've worked on for county governments. It might also be a requirement for other governments as well. So that opens up new opportunities for you. Now, number 4, and you'll really like this one, is that accessibility lets you easily charge more. Now, let me be clear. I didn't get into accessibility because I saw a financial opportunity, the reason that some companies have gotten into it. Not at all. Accessibility has become a hot topic over the past few years, especially with web accessibility. But I got into this in 2016 before all that. I had no idea what accessibility even was before then. And I just thought, okay, this will be an added service that I can offer if clients ask for it, and I'll just see how it goes. And I didn't know it was going to blow up. But I also liked that the work that I was doing was being inclusive. It wasn't alienating people by default, and I was also serving nonprofits. Not like NFL type of nonprofits, but nonprofits doing good work. So I got into it for the right reasons. But as I said earlier, accessibility is a specialized area of expertise. And when you have that, you can charge more. A lot of designers find it hard to charge more as it is because they lack confidence. They undervalue their work. And they find it hard to justify their rates to clients. So they think, will they or won't they like my pricing? As opposed to, this is my pricing. Your pricing should end in a period, not a question mark, because it's not open to discussion. And I think from my own experience, at least, that it's because graphic designers find it hard to justify their pricing to themselves first. When you can't justify the pricing in your own mind, it's even harder to justify it to clients. And then what happens is it comes across to clients as a lack of confidence. Like, can this designer really do this work? Or, that you're just trying to maybe get as much money as you can from them. On the other hand, when you're more confident about the expertise that you're providing and how it helps your clients, it's so much easier to believe that yourself, and that will come across. It's like you now have more tangible proof of the benefits. You're more sure about the benefits of your work, so now you have that proof, and so now you're able to believe your worth. And so that gives you the confidence to say, yes, I know my work will help you much more, and I understand and I believe in the value of that. And then you charge accordingly for that additional value. Because again, your price is your price. It's not up for debate. Okay, so speaking of value, number 5 is accessibility gives your work more value. Okay, so first off, you save your clients or your place of work time and money by incorporating accessibility best practices. If it's an afterthought and it's implemented later on, it will be much more costly. And that's because the design process needs to be revisited and then other work needs to be redone. I usually hear from other designers or creative agencies at the end of the process, and that's after their client has approved the design. So they say, here's my file or my website, make it accessible. A lot of times when I'm remediating documents, I have to change colors. I might have to add colors. I might have to change the design to get certain colors to work together. And sometimes I have to redo the document setup. The client's never happy about that. That's just adding time to the timeline, and it's costing them more money now because I'm going back and revisiting the design process all over again. That design that you sold them on that they loved may now look very different. So if you bring up accessibility from the start, when you're designing, you're saving them additional time and money that would otherwise need to be spent if it's done later. Now, accessibility is also good for the reputation of the business or organization. Most people won't notice that something is accessible, but they will notice if it isn't because they may not be able to read the text or make out hyperlinks or understand the graphics or get around the document or the website. If someone reading the document or using the website can do that, it will leave a positive impression. But also they will tell others, so there will be good word of mouth. Number 6 is that accessibility makes you a more efficient designer. When you implement technical accessibility practices when you're designing documents, you're using the software properly. You're using styles, you're using the built-in automated features wherever possible, and that means less manual work. You get a lot more done more quickly, and this time savings will just compound when you're working on larger documents. For example, you could add a separate text frame with a background behind some text, which you'd have to move and reposition every single time that text reflowed. That's tedious, right? Or you could simply use a paragraph style that has paragraph shading turned on. You could spend time creating a table of contents by hand, or you could use the built-in table of contents feature to generate one, and then update it if needed. And then with web design, it means that you're using the proper code for tags and using CSS for styling. Number 7 is that accessibility makes you a better designer, and that means your work gets better results. As graphic designers, we're designing for the purpose of communicating, and that gets lost when we don't consider all individuals. When you incorporate accessibility practices into your documents and even your websites, you help your clients reach more people, and that could be potentially 20% more people, maybe more. But it's also just the right thing to do. You probably take great care in what you design. And don't you want your work to be seen and understood by more people, especially if your clients or place of work are looking to make a difference? When your work gets better results, it helps your clients or your place of work. And when that happens, you get good testimonials. And testimonials carry a lot of weight. Good testimonials help you get more clients, and they help you charge more. Now, if you build websites, designing accessible websites means that those sites could rank higher in search engine results than the ones that aren't accessible. And that's because they use proper code that conveys meaning to search engines. But they usually also have leaner code, and that means Google will give the site a boost in search engine results pages. The other thing, though, is the time on the website. People that are searching might stay on the site longer because they came across more relevant content in those search results. Now, number 8 is another biggie that you might like, and that is accessibility gives you opportunities for recurring revenue. Now, that could be on a weekly, a monthly, or a quarterly basis. If you're doing anything with websites or apps, the ongoing frequency could vary depending on how often those get updated. And the more often those get updated, the more frequently clients are going to benefit from having you check their website or their app for accessibility issues. And this could mean checking and fixing their page content, like their text, images, audio, and video. It could mean checking plugin functionality for accessibility issues, especially if they go and install plugins themselves. It could also be checking the site's code if they have an in-house developer or if they like to tinker with things themselves. It could be implementing different phases of accessibility over time. If clients can't afford to do all remediation work at one time, for example, it could be done in phases. But this work doesn't apply only to websites. It could be remediating their documents over time too. So there you have it. Those are my 8 reasons that designers should care about accessibility. And I had to share these with you because design, again, is all about communicating. It's not just creating something that looks good. And accessibility has done so much for my business, and I'm always trying to help you with yours, whether that's sharing what's worked or what hasn't worked for me in the past. And I certainly didn't expect that accessibility would have such a positive effect on my business. If you want to learn more about design with accessibility, then check out my courses at creative-boost.com/courses. You can also download my free 3 accessibility guides at creative-boost.com/freebies.